as facilitators, we try to be in the center of every conversation. I've found that in Latin America, you don't have to be the center of every conversation. We as facilitators, we don't need to be, they're not talking to us. You need to allow them to talk to one another.
Welcome to the International Institute for Facilitation's podcast, Spaghetti on the Wall. I'm Eileen Dowse, Chair Emeritus and Director of Assessments for INIFAC. And today I'm joined by Hector, and to get his correct name, I have got to look at my paper here, Villarreal Lozoya. How did I do, Hector?
You got it. You got it right. You got it right. It's good.
Enough practice.
Perfect. Thank you.
And today we're going to talk about insights to remember, for facilitators to remember when facilitating in Latin America. And Hector, you and I have talked many times about working in Latin America and facilitating in Latin America, and I thought, why don't we just take this information, bottle it up, and share it to other facilitators as well?
Well, it's definitely facilitating Latin America. It's similar, but it's so different. I would say in every region of the world has its own tweaks, its own customization. Actually, we have a word in Spanish. It's called tropicalizar, or tropicalize. Would like make it more like how we use it, how we do it in the tropics. Because when you think about it, culture impacts group work at the end of the day. Oh, yeah. So the culture that we have in Latin America in terms of community, it's different from other places. It's similar to others as well. I mean, we are, as you remember, the high-low context cultures, right? Yes. We are very high context culture. And sometimes it depends on who's talking, what they're talking about, and people might not be very open to talk at certain environments when there's a lot of power imbalance in an environment. Yeah. So when you talk about when people ask me, hey, so I'm gonna do this in Latin America, what are your recommendations? One of the things is like, where in Latin America?
Because you have to think. That's right.
Yeah, I had a client a couple of years back, based in London, and they say, hey, I want you to do these sessions in 3 or 4 different countries. Wow. So they say, okay, so you can do this and then travel at night, and then the next day you do the following, and then you do the following. And I say, I think they're thinking like Europeans, like in 2 hours you go across Europe. Mm-hmm. From here, for example, from Mexico, Monterrey, that's where I spend a lot of time. And because my family, if I travel all the way to the capital of Chile, to Santiago, it's basically a transcontinental flight. Not transcontinental. It's a transatlantic flight. It would take me a couple of hours to go to Mexico City, and from Mexico City to there, it would take me around 8 hours.
Yeah, exactly. 7
or 8 hours flight. So it's basically I have to spend a whole day traveling. People don't realize how big is South America.
And even that. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and then there's that little, Hector, you speak Spanish, so could you just scoot over to Brazil and facilitate in Brazil?
And Brazil is Portuguese. It's a different. I mean, there's a lot of similarities. I can make myself understandable into a Portuguese audience if I speak slowly enough, and if they speak slowly enough, we might be able to interact and understand maybe 60-70%. But the nuances, we wouldn't pick them up.
Right.
You would need someone that's actually, and even when you go from Spanish from Spain and Spanish from Latin America, there are different kinds of Spanish. Even
right.
There are words that I've said in a workshop that have frozen people in their feet because they are not actually approved, like regular approved words. I was actually saying a bad word, and I thought it was just regular casual conversation, and people just froze it like, oh, what did I say? And they couldn't tell me what did I say because they were ashamed because there were women in front of me.
So
then
now that anyone watching has stopped this recording and said, good, now I'm never facilitating in Latin America. So just so we don't scare them, what's some of the important things to remember so that they can be a success and, I don't know, not get arrested?
Oh, I think, for example, there's a lot of English speakers in Latin America, so you could probably do work and people would understand. There's a lot of, I think that the impact that the Western USA-based culture has in Latin America cannot be understated. Everything that's popular in the United States, probably it's popular in most places in Latin America.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. So there's a lot of people will understand a lot of culture and comments in that regard. I would say you need to spend time. Not want to use the word ice breaking, but many colleagues might understand it easily. You have to invest time in connection, allowing people to connect with one another. Sometimes you need to invest time on connecting people with the content. They might be the expert on the content, but there might be something that's being shared via email to everybody that should have read before the session.
Yeah.
Most people in Latin America won't do it.
Yeah.
So you would need to sometimes say, hey, well, I'm going to invest this amount of time so people can refresh themselves on the report that we're working on, for the action plan that we're working on, right? Because probably they might have just went through very quickly, or probably they saw the email, they put it for, okay, I'll do it later, and later never came. Latin Americans are because I'm part of it, we procrastinate a lot. So it's like if it's not urgent, if it's not burning, people they have that burning sensation to do stuff at times. I've found that you need to allow them time to talk to people.
You may have seen me taking notes here. That whole piece about relationships is so important. And as a facilitator, I think one of the biggest pitfalls a facilitator can do is in the planning, not allow enough time to talk. And I'm not talking about talk slower, because if you're speaking English, gratefulness or that people will understand you in Spanish. I'm talking about give people time to tell their story and to talk, because that culture wants to do that.
And normally we don't have a culture of listening. The culture in Latin America, we have a lot of storyteller culture, like people like to tell stories everywhere, right? But in Latin America, I think we have a little umph on that in terms of we want to tell our stories, right? So you have to make sure that everybody feels heard. And sometimes as facilitators, we try to be in the center of every conversation. I've found that in Latin America, you don't have to be the center of every conversation. We as facilitators, we don't need to be. They're not talking to us. Yeah. You need to allow them to talk to one another. Right. And I've had this conversations and even discussions with colleagues that, hey, no, I want everybody to be able to introduce themselves to me because I'm the facilitator. Yeah, when you have 20, 30 people, you can spend 45 minutes introducing one another, and it's not helping connecting people one another at all.
That's a great point.
And probably you as a facilitator are not going to remember the names. I certainly don't. I don't have that memory skill set still. I mean, I'm not that good at that. But if you allow them to make sure that they connect with one another, and those relationships continue to grow during the sessions that you facilitate, that makes a ton of difference.
You talked about culture, and you and I both know that one of the most important things of culture sits values, right? It's like the pedestal that holds it all together. And I don't know how many people realize that family is such an important value in Latin America.
It is. Yeah. It is. Although it is also changing. I would have to say that certain spaces of Latin America, the family, it's a very cohesive structure still. But I can identify certain spaces in Latin America as well that, hey, families are smaller. Some families are non-traditional. So, it's been changing. For example, like separation rates in Mexico, they're growing exponentially.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's almost to the same level of that countries in other Western countries. So but in certain spaces, family, if you're not with the within the family, you're not allowed to join certain environments or certain conversations, because certain conversations are family only
Okay.
as well. I mean, so it does happen that there's a lot of dynamic things that are happening, and it also depends on which countries. For example, when we talk about certain countries there where the indigenous cultures are very strong, obviously that's very strong. The family connections and family values are very strong as well.
Right.
And other countries that are more have been influenced by other countries, or they don't have that kind of that big deal. But the close you created this close network of friends that you call them the family that you chose, right? But that can become as strong as family bonds as well at times. So we like relationships in Latin America for sure.
So for a facilitator, breaking into the family or becoming, I don't think you'll ever become part of the family, but building a rapport with the people in the room, what will be the best way for a facilitator to do that?
Well, you have to understand where the power is in organizationally wise, because you need to understand because there can be like the throne behind the throne, the power behind the throne kind of thing, and sometimes the person who's the face, organizationally speaking, might not be the one calling the shots. It might be, but they might not. It might change. So you need to understand it, and I never go in Latin America to a session without interviewing at least, for example, if I'm doing, like, let's say, a strategic planning session, I need to interview at least half or maybe more than half of the people that are going to be in the room with me, at least half an hour, maybe a little bit more, because I need to create that rapport with each one. The more rapport that I'm able to build before the session, the easier it will go. Because having to spend it in front of the room, in front of the group, when you're facilitating, I always say that in terms of relationship, you have a great benefit because you're the external, you're unbiased, or you're objective, neutral, whatever you want to call it. But you have the disadvantage is that you don't know the relationships within the group.
That's true.
There's the internal jokes, the issues, the underlying issues, and those might derail the conversation that you're aiming to generate, right?
Yeah.
So you need to be on top of that, and one way is to create this relationship with the different actors. So when you're in front of the group, okay, at least most of them, they know who you are, what you do, and you might have been able to create a little bit of rapport with everyone, or of the majority.
Yeah. Switching topics just a squeak here, another thing that I've noticed that is important for facilitators to recognize is this issue around time/punctuality. Because you can go in and work in a company and there's sort of that, the meeting will start 10 minutes after the start time. It's sort of the company culture. But in Argentina, the people may show up 30 minutes late, and that's okay. So it can be very different.
It depends on many things. I think it's a region-based situation that we would say Latin America. Yeah, we arrive late at everywhere. Most of the time. 10, 15 minutes, that's normal. So you have to take it into account with your planning.
Yes.
Yeah. And but you also, some of the things that I do, for example, let's say that we start at 3 and it's 3 and we only have 3 people in the room and we're expecting 7 or 10 more maybe. One of the things that I do is I in front of the group I say, hey, hello everyone, I'm Hector Villarreal, I'm going to be the facilitator for this session, etc., etc. I'm here to support you as a group, and I do think that the group needs to make some decisions right now. So it's not my call. I start doing it, it's the group's call. Hey, how much time shall we wait? So from the get-go, I'm setting the stage that it's not that I'm the one calling everything or being the authority figure in the room, but I'm just, hey, how much time shall we? And what I've seen that happens is that they say, okay, let's give them 5-10 minutes, whatever, and then they start texting people, hey, we're about to start. Where are you? So I make them part of the group. That, hey, we're making this thing happen and work. So that's something that I normally do. So hey, I'm not the one who's late. I'm not starting late. I'm not the facilitator. The facilitator is not the one that's allowing the group to start late.
And I was going to ask you the question about expectations, and I think setting. I want to ask you about what are the expectations from, generally speaking, people in Latin America towards a facilitator, but certainly the expectations of a facilitator. I think it's so important to lay out those expectations and say, I am your facilitator, here's my role, and here's your meeting. So setting that expectation of why we're all here, yeah?
Purpose, deliverable, that should be shared from the very start, and also people sometimes are not used to the role of a facilitator. Yeah, they might see you as a consultant,
right?
But here in Latin America, the use of the word facilitador, it's more used to trainer. Generally speaking, if we just talk about a facilitador de grupos or a group facilitator, people will understand, oh, you're a trainer. You're like the one who does exercises, dynamics, things that are fun, role-playing, team building, that kind of stuff. I mean, many facilitators do that as well as part of the work, the intervention that we do. But when they think about a facilitador, it might be that. So the word that we use, it's actually is not complete. I mean, in certain spaces, and they might know that what a professional group facilitator does, but most of the time they not. They see you as a consultant and as an advisor, something like that. Yeah. Actually, trying to sell facilitation as a job, they don't. But if you say, hey, I'm a consultant, I'm going to help you do the strategic plan. Oh, they understand that very easily.
Thank you. Speaking of expectations and culture and customs, is there anything around gifts or how a facilitator should present themselves? Certainly in Asia, you hold your business card with 2 hands. If you go to someone's home, bring a gift, don't bring a gift. Is there something that a facilitator, it would be beneficial for them to do as they come into the room that is nice, that is shows that you are honoring the culture? And maybe not. I'm just throwing it out there.
Just interesting. It's interesting because it might be that I do it unconsciously, so I'm trying to go through it. One of the things that I do, or I try to do very often, is that I do not introduce myself. I ask someone from the client side that introduce me.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's something that I do very frequently because I'm the external source. So somebody has to pass me the baton to start the job, start the work. Most of the time, I might do this online. For example, if we're going to do, let's say, a strategic plan and we're going to do it in a month's time and I'm going to meet with everyone before, normally we do a kickoff, a very quick, like 20-minute online kickoff, so people introduce, so the sponsor will introduce me, show me the role, and I will just go through the timeline of the full engagement with the participants. But there's someone that's allowing me to go into, that's opening the door for me to enter the group.
Yeah.
So that is something that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, maybe that is something culturally accepted here, because the thing is, in terms of your job, or when you're working in an organization, it's like, okay, who's this guy coming from the outside telling me what to do?
Yeah.
Right? I work for this environment. I work for this. This is my boss, my supervisor, and I pay attention to her or to him.
Well, and you're right. And what I'm hearing you saying is be really aware of that perception of power. And I don't mean power in a bad way. It's you were the one
Authority.
who said it, where you're passing a baton. So someone of a certain caliber has said this person is okay. And that can help a facilitator who
absolutely.
will go into that neutral, we're helping the group. But certainly it can help you with your credibility and that one step closer to helping build that trust in the group.
I've seen that happen a lot. Sometimes I send emails, nobody responds. Then the boss sends an email with me in copy asking for stuff, and people start responding immediately.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Unfortunately,
it's not good, it's not bad, it's different. And I think that's what's really important to remember when you're working with these different countries, different cultures. It's not good, bad, it's just different. And be aware of the differences. Yeah.
And you have to be very careful, because in certain, for example, countries, like in Colombia, let's say, they're very courteous. They're very polite. And you have to be as polite as them, because that's the way they communicate with one another. In English, you don't have that, because you only have you. You know, like in Spanish, we have tú and usted. You know, like tú, the direct you, and usted is the polite you.
Ah, right.
So you have to add, can you please pass me the salt? ¿Puedes pasarme la sal? That's like direct. ¿Puede usted pasarme la sal? This is like the formal, polite way of asking for salt, you know? So it's like, and you have to be very careful, because in certain countries, they will be expecting you to speak in their ways.
Yeah, and so my Spanish is not good at all. If I am facilitating in a country with a group of people whose Spanish is the primary language, and they know I will be facilitating in English, what will be important for me to remember?
One of the things is, if you have a sponsor of one of the sponsor's team members are fluently bilingual, you can provide and ascertain their roles, like, hey, this person is fluent in both languages. If there's anything that I'm not making myself clear, or I'm speaking too quickly, that person can help us bridge the gap, right? So that is something that do a lot. If you're doing this in both languages, in English only, and you say, hey, well, half of them, they are very fluent Spanish and English. There might be a few that they're not very strong with English. My recommendations is that all the instructions, for example, let's say that we're going to have a question in the board that people are going to then discuss between themselves. You review it prior into Spanish with someone that just reads it. So both languages are on the board. So people can. So it's something that and something that actually did happen last, like maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago to me, just before the holidays, was they say, hey, can we have the conversation in Spanish, and then we'll give the responses in English, so the discussion can move faster.
Oh, yes.
And then the results are just the only ones that are translated into English.
Perfect.
So they don't feel having to, I need to have this big important discussion in a language that I do not command completely, right?
Yeah. Well, and it seems to be that wonderful relationship of working with, right? You're really trying your best to be in harmony. So fantastic.
There are tools. Well,
No,
there are
go
tools.
ahead, please.
Just a tip. In Zoom, I don't know if you know, it has this capability of subtitling you. You know, like the closed caption,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it can close caption in another language. It translates for you.
Perfect.
So that there's another option that you can have that for people on the go, and it's fairly inexpensive.
Ooh, I like that. Thank you. In the limited time we have here, what would be some essential skills that any facilitator should know if they're going to facilitate in Latin America? There's a whole bunch of other podcasts on essential skills to have to facilitate anywhere. What would you recommend for someone wanting to start learning more to facilitate in Latin America, or they're about to go to Latin America and partner with someone to facilitate? What would you say?
My take, first of all, don't be afraid of it when you get asked, because I know that colleagues are saying, "Oh, they asked me for something in Latin America, I just throw it up, and somebody will take it." And hey, don't be afraid of trying something new. So that would be my first. It's like, give it a shot. I mean, don't pull yourself out of it just because you don't work the language. If the client is asking you for something in Latin America, they see something in you that's valuable for them
Right.
in that space. A second, if you're going to work with someone locally, I would highly recommend that you work as much as in advance as possible, because we facilitators in Latin America, we're Latin and we might push it. So be mindful that you might be very structured, very plan oriented, that maybe the local facilitator is not as much. So it's very important that when from the start you say, hey, this is how I do work. How do you do your work? How do you plan? How do you structure? How do you which tools do you use? So that way you can work together. Also, and work with the client. Many of the issues that I've seen are logistics oriented. Sometimes it's people saying, hey, yes, participants can do this, but cannot do that. They can be out maybe half a day for the whole week, but they cannot get out of their job for the full day. So instead of doing two full days, you do 4 half days, because people cannot just distance themselves from the day-to-day operations
Right,
at times.
right.
So you have to sometimes be creative in terms of logistics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I think is very important is to find people to partner with, to find the Hectors of the world, to find the other folks of the world, and to work together. I'm a big believer of working together. And I also wanted to give you a minute to do a plug of a conference as well, Hector.
Of course. Okay, thank you. Yeah, we would like to invite everyone that's listening to this podcast and seeing us through the internet to join us to the International Association of Facilitators Conference in Monterrey, Mexico. We're going to have a bilingual conference, so talking about sharing and an opportunity to learn a little bit and practice your Spanish. So we will have around half of the sessions in English, half of the sessions in Spanish. We have facilitators coming all the way from Chile, all the way through Canada. We have 49 sessions are lined up on the breakouts. We have plenaries with some of the great keynote speakers. Some of you, the founder of INEFAC, Michael Wilkinson, is going to be there. Adam Kahane as well is going to be there as well. So it's we want to bring everybody together to network, to learn, to expand facilitation at the edge. It's our theme. So to explore the edge of your facilitation. So hope to see you there, Eileen.
Thank you. I hope to be, I probably won't, but I hope to be there. Some other things are happening, but yes, so let me do a little backpedaling here of information. The International Association of Facilitators is a great membership organization for facilitators, and they certify certified professional facilitators. Michael Wilkinson, myself, and 2 other people started INEFAC, the International Institute for Facilitation, many years ago, I think it's been 23 years ago, for the sole purpose of just assessing and credentialing people at a master's level. So both organizations can provide information, and it's IAF that puts on these great conferences. I highly recommend.
I didn't say the dates.
Ooh, right.
30th, April 30th to May the 2nd.
2026, yeah.
2.5 days of learning. And so looking forward to see you it's going to be Thursday to Saturday. So if you can come on, join us, and looking forward to learn a lot. And I would say I would always say that IAF and INIFAC, they complement one another. We aim to make people use facilitation in their everyday lives. We believe in what we do, and we believe in our profession. Absolutely.
Absolutely right. Hector, thank you so much for spending this time. Good luck on the conference. I know you're the chair, right? The chair of the conference? Oh, yeah. So good luck on that conference, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. I love about talking to you and sharing about facilitation in Latin America. Thank you so much, Eileen.